Bit of a interesting question. I want to shout out Matty, our community manager, who's behind the scenes right now. He came up with this one. I think it's like haven't really looked at it this way, but if you look at like our childhood and then where we are now, technology is just on this fucking massive trajectory. Like it's like the curve of technology has been amazing. Um, how do you think that technology has affected our work life balance? Um, and if so, has it done that for you? Has it affected your relationships? Being able to run your business off this little thing here, the phone.
You know, it's amazing how far technology has come. I pretty much run my business off my phone as it is. Like the fact that we can do that with just a device that's this big is unreal. But I think a trap that I definitely fell into, and I know a lot of other men fall into, is that we end up spending all day on it. Even if it's not for work, these things are so addictive that we're just constantly looking at them, even if it's not for productive reasons. And I was one of the people that fell into that trap. I was having 8, 9, 10 hours worth of just like screen time at the end of the day, and it's like 10 hours of a day looking at a rectangle. It's ridiculous if you think about it in that sort of way.
Yeah, man.
And for me, something that's definitely helped is in the last 6 months, I've deleted all of my social media. So for me, it's like trying my best to just separate my personal life from my phone,
Yeah.
like using it purely for work purposes, and then talking to people here and there.
Yeah, man. Uh, that's really interesting, man, because as a gym owner, some people would tell you that you have to have social media. You have to be on there to run a gym and the marketing, all that kind of stuff. How are you finding business with you not being on social media the past 6 months?
So I still have all of the businesses' social
Yep.
medias, but it's like, I'm not going to go onto the business's Instagram and post a shirtless photo of me at the gym on the story. I'm not going to do that. So it's like, the only reason I use social media now is for
Yes.
business. Whereas before, it's like, I'd have my personal account, my business account, I'd do all my business, I'd flick over to my personal, and then I'd just go down this little rabbit hole on Instagram where I'd just start doom scrolling for 3, 4, 5 hours, and then I look back and it's like, wait, where's the day gone? I've still got so many things I need to do, and I've just got trapped by this.
Yeah, man.
So being able to eliminate that has been huge.
Yeah, we're talking about like the surround ourselves with the caliber of people that are where we want to be going. As a dear brother of mine, he's a serial entrepreneur. His name is Monty Hook. He's one of my best men or groomsmen at my wedding, and a few years older than me, and just really, really successful in business. And as I made this leap from construction to men's work and becoming a coach, he's like, bro, I want to give you some advice. Take it for a grain of salt, but I just really, really want to help you so you don't get lost with that doom scrolling, that kind of stuff. He's like, if you can be and show up just authentically as yourself, and if you're like as the man that you are, and try not to pretend to be anyone that you're not. Just speak real, open, raw discussions on your social media, and just be yourself. You're not going to have this juxtaposition of like, oh, I'm doing this identity persona of like this man, the father. Oh, and this is him in business. Try and make that the one man. And it was a beautiful thing, man, because I was getting a lot of mixed reports from people like, oh no, you've got to do this kind of marketing, you've got to do that. It's like, man, it was fucking exhausting. And just to be myself and real, and just to be authentic and be open about my challenges and what I was dealing with, I was able to really utilize social media. And it was really interesting because I was against it, man. I was totally against all technology. I used to see my sisters doing the duck face and taking selfies, and they'd do like 20 different shots to get the right shot, and they'd put filters on it. I was like, but man, Steve Jobs, he's like, fuck the world, man. Like this, I think it was the Mayans said in 2012 the world was going to die, or the universe was going to die, or something like that. And I really feel like that 2012 was when all of this social media and selfies and everything really took off. And so I think the minds predicted something, and I think that era changed around that time. So I had an old flip phone and Nokia 3210, all that, and I was one of the last of my mates to ever get an iPhone. I remember it was Preston Smiles, my first mentor. I was talking to him about this in a personal development workshop called The Bridge, And he's like, oh, there's this challenge that you use social media. I'm like, I don't have it. And it was really interesting too. I'd go out, I was single at the time, and I was going out meeting people, and women will ask, oh, hey, what's your Instagram? What's your Facebook? I'm like, I don't have it. And everyone thought I was lying. No one believed that I did actually have social media because it was like taboo. Like, I don't drink. It was like, oh, what do you mean you don't drink? Like, it was like, yeah, it was different. But yeah, he challenged me. He's like, man, you've got a big voice, you got a big heart. And the reason I got on social media was because it was feeding my jealousy. I was really insecure about 8-10 years ago. And so, yeah, I removed the thing that was feeding jealousy so I could work on it. But he's like, man, you could use this as a tool, and then rather than getting succumbing to it. Then there was this, there's a documentary called The Social Dilemma. Have you seen that? Yeah, yeah. And that
Yeah.
one, man, so the viewers, if you haven't seen it, it's, or the listeners, sorry, the Social Dilemma is all of these marketing people, all these people behind Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, all this kind of stuff, and they're whistleblowers. So they're part of the companies, and they all of these companies all had really beautiful intentions at the start. All these social media companies, and then it turned dark really fast because we, the humans, became the product. And so they worked with psychologists in the marketing teams for us to get addicted to these things, like what you're saying, man, that addiction. And I remember the first when I watched that, someone told me to watch this. It's like, oh man, I wonder how addicted to this thing I am. So I'm like, cool. I'm going to turn my phone off for 72 hours and just see how I go. The first hour, I remember we're outside at home. Wifey was there. I'm like, cool, I'm going to do it. So I put my phone in the office, which was at the back, and we're in the backyard. 12 times in the first hour, I went up to go check my phone. And like, I'm like, what am I doing? And in those 12 times, I was checking the unconscious patterning was. I wanted to see if anyone had messaged me, any of my clients. Couple of times, I just got up to have a scroll to see what was happening. And here I am playing with my kids and my wife. I'm like, whoa, there's something in this. And it wasn't until about 40 hours in that I actually forgot about my phone. It took me that long. I was like so tapped into that. And it's really interesting because I remember saying to mum, I'm like, every couple of months, I'm going to switch my phone for 72 hours. Oh, and I remember mum's like, how are people going to get in contact with you? And it's like, well, they won't. That's the whole
They can wait.
yeah, they won't. And so it was really interesting too, talking to some people because I was a coach. They're like, "You can't do that, man. What about your clients?" And so I figured out a way. And so I'd love to give you guys an example of this. And if anyone wants to try this, I highly recommend switching your phone off for 72 hours, even if you're a business owner. And so, yeah, I just tell my clients, my one-on-one clients, hey guys, I'm doing my thing. I'm going to go off grid for 72 hours. Here's my wife's number. If there's a 911, like make sure just reach out to her. Men, don't send her any dick pics. And and then I'd message my mum and the people that were really close to me and important. I was like, hey, I'm out of action for 72 hours. Like my wife, you can get through my wife to contact me. And man, it was just so refreshing and rejuvenating just to see life through this lens of presence rather than always caught up in this go, 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 do, do, do. Did I ever get you to do that challenge, bro?
No, but I had done it every single time I did the 3 day retreats. I think I did 3 or 4 of them, and it was like every single time it was like message everyone that or all the people close to me and say, "See you in 3 days," pretty
Yeah.
much. And then no one would just know why. And then you'd come back and you'd have 50 messages, and everyone's wondering what happened to you. It's just like, well, I didn't have my phone,
Yeah.
and people just struggle to believe that.
Yep.
And so you tell people, I just was taking 3 days off my phone. And there's 3 days. Are you
Yeah.
insane? So
Yeah, man.
people find it hard to believe.
The other thing that I found too with this phone, this amazing piece of technology, is um, it's been amazing with the business, but how it's like clogged up the work life balance is then now this thing's in my pocket and then it comes into
Yeah.
my home life. And so then it's like now work's coming back with me. And so a big thing in my relationship with my wife and working with we've had relationship counselors and relationship coaches. There was a big thing about me always being on my phone. And the way that I justified it, it was, oh, I was working, I'm doing all this work for the family, I'm grinding, and it was this anxiety and this identity that I'd put it within my coaching business, that I was always on time and I was just replying to people. I was always there, and what it just was, it was I was unable to actually sustain that. It was unsustainable to be that kind of man, to always be on top of all of that. And so yeah, there was times that, like, for us, and it got. I remember the first time this our Eliza, our relationship counselor, she said, "Cool. Well, I want you to pick a 3-hour window where you don't have a phone." I'm like, "Fuck." Wifey's just had it. I think like we'd had our second child. Minnie had stopped working. I was a sole provider. I'm like, "Fuck, 3 hours in a day. Whoa!" And so I chose that 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And it was just interesting because, like, that's a pretty good window to not be working and, like, make dinner and be present with the kids. But just how much anxiety I placed upon myself that I had to be there. But yeah, it was in with that commitment. I had to put my phone into a lunchbox, into a pantry, and, like, so I had to go through 3 checks just so I couldn't pick my phone up, man. That's how addicted I was to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
man, it was crazy, bro.
Yeah, like my phone pretty much lives on do not disturb
Hmm.
now. I always tell it's really funny in my age demographic, especially. You'll take a couple of hours to message someone, or they'll take a couple of hours to message you back, and I see it all the time. They go, "Sorry, it took me so long to message you," and I'm just like, "What are you sorry
Yeah.
for?" We're all adults. We've all got things going on. I figured you'd just message me back when you had time. But everyone's caught up in this. We have to message back straight away, otherwise it's rude. And I'm just like, no, it's not
Nah,
rude.
man.
We're just
hundred
adults.
percent, bro. The like my mum's generation and like that generation, it was like that, like this reply straight away. Someone rings, you answer straight away. And because my phone's on silent, man. Like, it's always on silent. And one of the biggest tools that I've got for work-life balance is to ensure that my phone is on silent, and like, and that way, and all the notification, I don't get any notifications either. So, like, if because for me, being a perfectionist with a bit of OCD, if I saw 15 messages on Messenger, 20 notifications on Facebook and Instagram, I'd look at them. Oh, I just want to get them all down to zero. I'm not going to be comfortable until they're all to zero. So I had to turn them all off. Like, literally had to turn them all off and put my phone on silent. And it jacked so many people that were close to me, man. It's like, oh, I tried to ring you. Like, yeah, cool. I was with my family. Like, my phone's always on silent, and it's interesting how it can jack some people, man. Yeah, it's interesting.